What's good, Livewire sports media fans? All right, now I was trying to hold off from this topic throughout the week. I just wanted to listen to everybody's take and get a lot of in-depth analysis before I took my chance to dive into this and really place my thought where it needs to be. Now, the Robert Griffin III and Jay Gruden Beef on Twitter, X, whatever we calling it now, is some think it's silly, some think it's crazy. Why talk about it now since it was 10 years later? But hey, here we are. So apparently, the game against Philly and Tampa Bay was the result of Tampa Bay winning the game. Jay Gruden, who has a podcast, he be on podcasts. He always tweeting. He always having something to say. And we all know um, Jay Gruden history in DC. But Jay Gruden started this out by tweeting and said, "Hey, if I ever put a quarterback through what Philly is putting Jalen through, I apologize. Pick up the blitz." Okay, he was referring to what Tampa Bay was doing to Philly. The wide receivers wasn't running the route correctly. They wasn't getting separation. Jalen Hurts, seemingly, I guess he's hurt. He hasn't used his legs as much, and he was just standing in the pocket. And some quarterbacks that don't have a pocket presence to throw the ball from the pocket need to be moved around. Then again, if you got some quarterbacks that can stay in the pocket but take sacks, they need to move around. So there was no adaptability of the scheme for what Tampa Bay was bringing to the Philadelphia Eagles. But nevertheless, Jay Gruden put that out. And seemingly shocked was Robert Griffin III. He say what? Yeah. And then he had a caption of his picture doing like this. Now, a lot of us who lived through that era, young and old, we all know what probably happened, seemingly happened, what did happen between Robert, his career, Jay, his coaching career. So, Jay Gruden responded to Robert Griffin III. You weren't prepared, Robert. Boom. That's a shot to say, hey, you didn't have it. You didn't have it. You wasn't prepared. Kirk Cousins was more prepared to you. But Jay Gruden, don't act like you was a great coach, because I'm going to point out in this video of some of the stuff that you wasn't great at. Because if RG3 failed with you, you failed also. And you failed with Kirk Cousins, and you failed with Colt McCoy. So you had all three of these quarterbacks on your team, and you only won one division title. I don't hear nothing. That's what I thought. So Robert came back in the tweet and said, "You told me you didn't know how to coach a quarterback who could throw and run like me. So looks like you were prepared either, Jay." So he was just saying, "Hey, you was more adaptable to coach a quarterback that could stay in the pocket, not move around, and just make certain throws. You didn't know how to adjust to a running quarterback that can run and throw." Now, we also could take that statement and push it even farther back to the Shanahan era. Because remember, we all raved about the Shanahans and all the coaches that we had on there. Bobby Slowick, his dad Bob Slowick, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and also his daddy, Mike Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. So now somebody put in an article and say it was Sean McVay, rather, but it was Kyle Shanahan. But seemingly that first year when Robert Griffin got drafted, they did have a scheme for him. He was able to throw from the pocket because he threw for over 3,000 yards that year. He ran for almost 108-15. Alfred Morris almost had a 2,000-yard season, 160, 116. You know what I'm saying? No, 1,600 plus yards. Robert threw for over, his passing rating was over 102 point, whatever it is. He had over 20 something touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So if Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan was able to maximize the ability of Robert Griffin III, why in the hell Jay Gruden couldn't maximize his position? Oh, matter of fact, I know why. Because he never wanted Robert Griffin from the get-go. Because anytime you change coaching in a franchise, and whoever drafted this guy, and the new coach looked at the roster and said, "Oh, well, maybe I could use this guy." He wanted Kirk Cousins to start. Robert Griffin was never a Jay Gruden guy, so Jay Gruden didn't want to work with him. He did the bare minimum that he wanted to do with Robert Griffin. Now, we all know there's bitterness between these two. Robert Griffin and Jay Gruden spent 2 seasons together. 2 seasons. We Jay Gruden was brought in the 2014 season, and ended by 2015. Robert Griffin was no longer on the team. He got cut, and eventually Jay Gruden got fired. Robert Griffin went 2-5 that year. Started only 7 games. Kirk Cousins also started 5 games that year in 2014. Kurt McCoy also started 4 games that year. So guess what the Washington Commanders' record was during that time with all 3 quarterbacks playing? 4-12. So you got 2 quarterbacks who were drafted in the same draft. One went number 2, the other one went I think 3rd, 4th round, whatever. Then you had a backup journeyman, Colt McCoy, and you only managed 4-12 record. So Jay Gruden, you got any words for that? I don't think so. So Robert Griffin got hurt week 2, and he missed 6 games that year. 6 games. Now, maybe that's the reason why he decided to say something to Jay Gruden. Now, regardless of RG3 Flores or whatever, he did not help himself. You know what I'm saying? Either. Because when he got drafted, he was the number 2 overall pick, right behind Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck wasn't in the league. Robert Griffin stayed in the league to some point in time. But at the same time, Jay Gruden never wanted RG3. He wanted Kirk Cousins. But guess what? If RG3 never got hurt or tore his ACL during that year he got drafted, who knows what RG3 would have been? Because damn sure Kirk Cousins wouldn't have, he benefit from it. He benefit for RG3 getting hurt. That's why he was able to have a career. He was able to maximize his dollars. He didn't play for the Kirk Cousins didn't play for us to win games, to go to the playoffs and had a chance to win a Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins was playing for a contract. Kirk Cousins was playing to get paid, to get out of there. Because when Washington franchise tagged him twice, he ended up signing a big deal with Minnesota, which he's still with Minnesota now, but he's a free agent this year. So he's most likely going to be looking for another place to go. And pretty much that probably be his last stop because his career will be over after that. But the dude got paid. Robert Griffin's career went opposite. He went to Cleveland. He was out of the league for a little bit after Cleveland. Baltimore came calling. He was the fourth string on the team. Did came in to play some games, but now that he found his niche with ESPN and podcasting and whatever and on college football as an analyst, he found his niche. Now I'm sure he decide. I mean, he's up there now, but he's not gonna come back in. Nobody's gonna pick him up, come back and lead to play football quarterback. And it's over with. This is the league is getting younger, but at the same time, Robert Griffin, you also got to take responsibility too, young man, for your fault in all of this. From the Shanahans to Jay Gruden, because you know why? You came in with an arrogance. You came in, thinking, hey, I'm a Heisman Trophy winner. I'm a number 2 pick. I'm the shish. You know what I'm saying? Instead of allowing yourself to be coached and develop a good way, you probably would still be in the league right now. You probably you could have been doing other things. You know what I'm saying? Could have been in coaching. Who knows? But just as wrong as Jay Gruden is, you is just as wrong as also. So both of y'all pointing fingers at each other is not making y'all anyone either better. Now, I do want to say this to the Washington community. A lot of us is dumping on RG3 through Twitter or X, and some of y'all have personal feelings about it. I don't. Yeah, the book thing rubbed me the wrong way. Get to see him come back this year with Josh Harris taking over. It was a great feel. Some people, like I said, some people don't like Robert Griffin, and that's cool. I was a Robert Griffin guy. I still follow him. I watch some of his stuff. He's very intellectual. He talks. Sometimes he might be a little bit overboard, but hey, who the hell is not overboard in the sports media world? You know what I'm saying? Hell, we get on Jonathan Allen for, talking crazy sometimes, whining and complaining. But nevertheless, I'm not going to take Jay Gruden's side because Jay Gruden is trash. He's always been a trash coordinator. He was 35, 49, and 1 with the Washington Commanders. We only won one division. And they make him like some high-profile offensive coordinator when he spent time in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton, who career never went nowhere. But they kept him there intact with Marvin Lewis, who been there forever, and then finally they had to force him out. So my thing is this here is that I still feel that when Robert Griffin was drafted, our whole franchise had a adrenaline rush like no other. It's like we had our own Michael Vick. And I just wish that excuse me. I just wish RG3 didn't get hurt. Because if RG3 didn't get hurt, who the hell knows what we would have been? We have not had a franchise quarterback since that time. We have placement quarterbacks since that time. And none of them had worked the hell out. Now we're in the same position again to draft a franchise quarterback, number 2. The last time we did that, we picked Robert Griffin III. So I did put in my caption video, you will see another video you could click on and listen to what Robert Griffin had to say. You could. If you don't want to, that's fine. Hey, that's up to you. But it's there for your, entertainment. I just feel like this. It's 10 years, man. But guess what? Isaiah and Michael Jordan still holding on to their beef all this year. So, hey, this might be the new Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Isaiah Thomas beef. But it's only in football. So, I think Robert Griffin, my advice to you, continue to do what you do. You're very successful right now. You have a wife. You have pretty beautiful daughters. Jay Gruden is doing whatever Jay Gruden do. He's just like everybody else. Tweet, tweet, tweet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if maybe Jay Gruden, you should have embraced Robert Griffin a little bit more instead of having him going out there embarrassing himself You know what I'm saying? See, Mike Shanahan did everything they could to protect Robert Griffin from himself, even when he got hurt. When Robert Griffin came back that following season, and he wanted to play, you could have tell he was in he you could have tell he was in his self. He was shell shocked. He was never ever the same player. And when you use your legs more than you use your arm, which he had a great arm. It's not that he had a bad arm, but his legs was that more dominant. And that's why the Commanders went 10-7 that year with Shanahan. They was up 14-0 over Seattle, and Robert Griffin re-aggravated his leg again, and they put Kirk Cousins in, and the rest is history. Because Kirk Cousins we didn't win the game with Kirk Cousins. We still lost, and Seattle knew that, so they adjusted. They didn't have an answer for Alfred Morrison and Robert Griffin in that game, but nevertheless, my thing is this here: it's y'all business. Y'all do what y'all want, but facts is facts. And we can sit here and dig up stuff and say, oh, well, Robert Griffin did this. He ain't doing his stuff. He was trash and all this. No, that's cap. Because we all know Robert Griffin wasn't trash when he got drafted for us. We all, and I can say this again, we all was excited. Now, after he got hurt and he couldn't get back to form, and he went there, and all of this, like I said, all of this stuff with Washington in the book and all that, everybody started turning on him. But we all was in love with RG3 at that time. all of excuse me, all of us was in love with RG3 during that time. And if RG3 didn't get hurt, and what if RG3 had took us to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl? We wouldn't know what would happen after we beat Seattle that year. Apparently, Washington never got back to form because with all the coaches that we had on our staff, they end up going 3-13, and Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan got fired. Matter of fact, during that tenure, Mike Shanahan was the executive president under Bruce Allen on that staff. So why in the hell we didn't build a better roster, or put better complement pieces around everything? So same thing with Jay Gruden. He got fired five games into the season. We was 0-5 that year. He got fired. So we sitting here acting like Robert Griffin is the most despicable person on earth when Jay Gruden and these coaches was trash. We had the most talented coaching staff that you could probably assemble from the Avengers on the staff. If you got a Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, Spider-Man, and all these guys, and y'all still getting y'all ass kicked, then you had the worst owner in football at the time. The worst GM in football at the time, Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen. So we already know how the story went. So my thing is, I'm showing a little bit more nutrition and a little bit more bias. I'm not an RG3 apologist, but I did like RG3 when he first came out. I was an RG3 fan. I just think him and Jay Gruden are both wrong. I'm not a Jay Gruden person. I don't even like Jay Gruden. I just know that he was not a good coach. But they both wrong in a sense. Now, RGD did decide to say, hey, Jay Gruden, you could come on my platform. We could talk about it. Maybe. And that's something that Stephen A. alluded to on his show. So on his podcast. And maybe they could sit down and work it out. But at the end of the day, who cares? Like I said, it's 10 years gone. Nobody cares about that anymore. So the fact of the matter is, it's just made for TV. It's just made for a talking point. And everybody has their own take on it. Everybody has their views on it. Everybody has their own take about RG3. Everybody has their own take about Jay Gruden. But I'm not going to sit here and act like RG3 was a bum. Now, he wasn't good afterwards, after he finally got his legs back and all this stuff. He wasn't good no more. Nobody took a chance on him. Nobody didn't decide to say, hey, let's develop you into a better passer, more pocket presence and stuff. Nobody took that challenge on. So, and that's just like, we look at Bryce Young right now, struggling, but everybody already calling him trash. But you had Frank Wright as a coach there that's not really good. That didn't even embrace him because they probably didn't want him. Same thing with RG3. But nevertheless, hey, Jay Gruden and RG3 careers have went their own different way. They both successful in whatever they're doing. I could care less. But at the same time, at the end of the day, like I said, I just feel like RG3, you have not done yourself no favors through your years playing football. Jay Gruden, you just never did yourself any favors as a coach because you was trash. And that's my take on this whole RG3. Um, RG3, Jay Gruden situation. Hey, it's my opinion. Just thinking about it, and it's all is what it is. Until then, but stay tuned because I will be bringing another Washington Commander video sometime today or tomorrow. I'm going to put together all of my defensive coordinator choices and who I think should be our defensive coordinator if we end up picking Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowly as our offense head coach moving forward with the Washington Commanders. Until then, stay blessed. Enjoy the weekend. We already got NFL playoffs this weekend. You know what it is. And I'm out.